All right. My name is Jeremy Goossen. I'll be presenting on Drexler's Chapter 5, talking about thinking machines. And it's basically talking about artificial intelligence. Drexler asks, is artificial intelligence even possible? And he says that one of the problems about asking that question is that the definition of artificial intelligence is constantly changing. At first, computers couldn't do hardly anything, and by those standards, what computers are able to do now would be considered artificial intelligence. They can understand human speech and stuff. And so, because of that changing standard, it's hard to define when we've reached artificial intelligence. Some computers are able to learn and redefine their algorithms in order to have changing thought patterns, and others are experts in particular fields just because of all the data that they have stored in them. And so Drexler sees no reason why artificial intelligence shouldn't be impossible unless there is some sort of magical mind-matter stuff that makes it a non-physical device in your brain. Alan Turing posed a test to test machine intelligence, and he said that if you had a machine in one room and a human in another room, and you couldn't see them, you could just talk to them. If you couldn't tell which one was machine and which one was the human, then that machine would have to be called intelligent because it would perfectly understand the human brain and how it works and be able to replicate conversation. And so I think that that would be a good measure of intelligence for machines, because that's not going to be a changing standard, and once you reach that, you have reached artificial intelligence. And just because the thoughts of a machine look very different from our thoughts doesn't mean that we should discount it as not intelligent, because although computers we think of it as a linear code and it follows one step after another, it's a very different thought process than ours, but that doesn't mean that it can't also include intelligence. And they can still have they can change its own code and be programmed to learn in that sense. And there's a computer named Eurisco, and it was able to use a learning technique like this to create really unique and creative solutions to a game, the Traveler TCS. They had national competitions, and it won 2 years in a row. And the competition told them that if they entered again, they would have to stop the competition because it was an unbeatable program. So, yeah. But then Drexler asked, are we able to understand enough of intelligence to actually create it artificially? Is it even possible to create? And he says that we don't need to understand how intelligence works. He says that's an impossible feat for our minds to understand our own minds. So he says that all that's really necessary is for us to be able to make an exact replica electronically of our biological brain, and then it will function the same. We don't have to understand how it works, but just have the same physical structure. And he says that for the artificial intelligence electrical brain, he would use nanocomputers and assemblers. And each synapse would be replaced with one nanocomputer and an assembler. And the assembler would be able to change the structure of the brain, just like our brain structure is able to change with thoughts. And so this would work exactly like a human brain. But since it's made of electric components, electricity can travel 1 million times faster than neural signals. And the brain, he said, would also be about a cubic centimeter if you used all nanotechnology. So it would have 1/10 of the distance to cross. So he said that the artificial brain would be able to run 10 million times faster than a human brain, and it'd be able to get a year's worth of design done in 10 seconds. And it seems really out there, and it is with the hardware necessary to implement it, because he's talking about having like tons of water flow through it every second just for cooling, which is pretty much impossible. It would have to be larger, but still, it would still be much faster than a human brain just because it's working with electrical signals. So that's pretty much it. Any questions?
Is Alan Turing the same one that did the Enigma machine? You know?
Quite possibly,
Okay.
I think so.
Okay.
He was really big into computers in the early computer age.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if it needed water to cool it down, but it can get a year's worth of stuff done in 10 seconds, wouldn't it be able to figure that out pretty quickly before it got to that point?
It's because of the nanotechnology computers inside. If it's going to be that small, all of those computers would be generating so much heat that it like take the tons of water going in and bring it out as boiling water.
I'm saying, but if
There could be other solutions, but it's just the impracticality of the hardware. Trying to condense it in that small of a space isn't really worth it. They'll probably end up being larger than a cubic centimeter. But
I was saying if it even got to that point, are we still recording? I was saying if it even got to the point where you could even get it to work for just a little bit,
right,
figure yourself out.
Yeah, you could build a computer to figure out the problems of building computers.
And then it'd be bam, it'd be
Right.
right there.
right.
Once you got that going, you're
That's
done.
what I'm saying. So it's possible, but it wouldn't take long for it to figure itself out.
It would, but it wouldn't take long to generate a whole bunch of heat either. So,
Yeah.
but it's true.
But
You wouldn't have to keep
here's
it
the
on all
question.
time.
If you made a brain smart enough so it could learn and learn exponentially on its own,
Right.
would it learn that humans are not necessary for its survival and decide to get rid of us?
It's iRobot.
Yep.
No, that's not iRobot.
iRobot?
No,
That's
no, no.
Terminator.
No, iRobot had the 3 laws of robotics,
Oh, yeah.
and then he came up with a zeroth law on his own that said that he could knock out a single individual human being for the betterment of humankind. So in iRobot, the robots were good, actually. Yes, but in other scenarios, they might be bad. So, the brain anyway, artificial intelligent brain. Yes? Okay, other questions or comments for Goossen? Goossen, right?
Goossen.
Goossen, I always get it wrong. It's two O's though, right?
Yes.
So it looks like a goose, but it's a
Yes.
ghost. Okay, Goossen. All right, let's give him a big round of applause.